Thank you so much for joining me for another enlightened conversation where we aim to really help the world evolve one conversation at a time. I'm really excited today. I have the beautiful Janine Hall joining me as our special guest for today. And I just want to let you know a little bit about Janine. Janine is actually a life and business strategist who started out as a remedial massage therapist and a beauty therapist over 16 years ago. And now she's using her intuitive and holistic skills to help educate people to think and feel differently about themselves and their relationships. So Janine combines her skills of alchemy and life coaching to bring greater awareness to the self. And I'm really intrigued to find out so much more. Whenever I'm planning my shows, I like to plan them with my enlightenment in mind. And I'm so excited to have Janine joining me. Thank you so much for joining us, Janine.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
It's wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, fantastic. I was reflecting this morning on really, you know, all the things that you're doing with your world, and I love that it's so rich. There's so many layers to what you do, because one could just look at one area like the healthcare or what have you, and think, oh, it's just healthcare, but it's not. It's really important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I was when I describe myself, I always do get quite confused because it depends what subject I'm talking about, because there are many layers to me, but that's like people. There are always different layers to everyone. And I try and combine all that in simplistic and helpful tips and that sort of thing to help people.
One of the things I really love about what you do, I must say, it's very resonates strongly with me, is you're really practical. I love that you're really practical. In some of the articles that you've written for Lightworker Advocate magazine, like, steps are so like solid and concrete, which for me, I feel like if you can't apply spiritual concepts, holistic concepts into actual everyday ways, you're missing the point somehow. So I really love that you provide those tangible ways.
Yeah, it's I when I'm looking at something and we want to fix something, you have to have that practicality of how do I do it in my everyday life? How do I do that without either going to get a bank loan to fix something, or breaking something, or tearing a relationship apart, or thinking that you are not the best at what you do, and those sorts of things, and bringing the practicality in so it's everyday stuff is what really sits with me. I must tell you a little story. I actually, I was asked to go and do a little 10-minute speech. This is a few years ago, about anti-aging stuff. And I actually froze because the anti-aging stuff that is out there at the moment, I just don't relate to. And when I was up on the stage, I had a 10-minute speech, and I froze 2 minutes into it, and I had nothing to say because I wasn't being authentic with myself, or be authentic with my product. And I learned that, and it's just like, well, it's bringing me into it and bringing my practicalities into it, and helping people solve things holistically has to be where I sit.
Yeah. Like I totally relate to what you're saying. Somebody invited me to be a part of Nerium, which is, I don't know anything about, but apparently it's meant to be this amazing anti-aging thing going around at the moment. Now, I'm all for skincare, love it, love taking care of my skin, but so not obsessed with the whole age thing, because I feel like aging is beautiful. I love wrinkles. You know, if you've ever seen my husband, he's got wrinkles everywhere. He's a surfer. He surfs pretty much every morning, and sun wrinkles and everything. I just love them. I just think wrinkles are bee's knees. I'm 46, and for some reason I've always had hardly any, like, just a hereditary thing, but I don't have a problem. I mean, I remember when my kids were, you know, that age where they just pinch you and they do everything to your skin and everything like that. And if I did that, they'd say I had worms, and, you know, we'd have a laugh. You know, and I kind of feel like if I'm going to put my face to something, it certainly won't be about anti-aging. It'll certainly come from a self-love, self-respect point of view. This is someone you're talking to now who has had like over 26 years now of body image recovery because of my eating disorder. And I feel like that all that comes into play. And I feel like part of being enlightened is actually to embrace whatever age whatever we look like, the beauty, see the beauty in the wrinkles, see the beauty in the scars. Yeah.
Everything. And just on scars actually tell a story about who you are. And so do the wrinkles. Every wrinkle that you have on your face, every spot, dot and freckle actually says something about who you are as a person. And that's what makes my heart sing. And when I can educate people on that sort of stuff, but not only just the skin, but also in their relationships as well, it sort of it just makes my heart sing when I can say, well, what about it? Why don't we look at it this way? Or why don't you look at it that way? And now I'm not against the anything that any aging. It's just not me. And if you want to go and do all that, that's fantastic. Absolutely love it. And for the right reasons, it's absolutely a really good thing. But if you're doing it just because you're not happy with who you are, then that's where we need to take a look at you and say, well, why not? Let's have a look. Let's delve into who you are. And I guarantee you, I will make you feel differently about who you are as a person. Yeah. And that's just what I love doing. And I love seeing smiles on people's faces and things. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's an interesting topic because people come to me and they'll say, oh, do you think I should get a boob job? Do you think I should not, have some surgery to reduce my breasts? I've had that too, a lot of that stuff. Do you think, is it okay, metaphysically, all that stuff? And my answer is always the same. I always say, are you coming from a place of love with this? Or are you coming from a place of, I'm not good enough? Now, I believe we're co-creators with spirit. So if we decide, well, I've been blessed with this body, but I want to do something to enhance it, what have you, whether it's get a new hip to provide better quality of life, or whether it's, to get a good job because perhaps the boobs are deflated from breastfeeding or whatever. It's not about a right or wrong or a good or bad from my point of view. I feel like it's more about where you're coming from with your intentionality, because whether it's an organ that you receive or whether it's prosthetic or what have you, there is a certain level of ownership over, I believe, the material that's put in you or what have you. And if you have a hate relationship before you go into an operation, if you have a hate relationship with yourself, what usually happens is there are complications or things don't work, or do you know what I mean? Like whereas if you go in with love, it's like you're already connected to it and it tends to work for you rather than give you problems or rejection, even with rejection with organs and things like that. Interesting topic, isn't it?
Yeah, very. Yeah, I could talk for days about it. It's actually one of the things that I'm doing at the moment, just with the little product that I have, the lip balm that I've got at the moment, and why I'm doing that. Now, I actually never saw that as a particular, separate thing to what I already do, but especially women about their lips. Now, you and your listeners may not know this, but in the US alone, every 19 minutes, somebody's having a lip augmentation because, every 19 minutes it's growing. The industry has grown 800% since 2003, simply because women don't like the shape of their lips. And that is 99.9% of the reason why this industry has grown so fast. Now, for me, when I start talking about thin lip personalities or, fuller lip personalities, people get a whole new different perception on why their lips are the way they are. Because, you know, they chose them as part of their face, you know, when they're creating themselves, they chose those lips. And you know, just for example, what, you know, your wide lips here, when they come to the outside of your pupil, they're classed as a wide lip. So when you're looking at that, you can see that you're a mother to everyone, and you absolutely love to take care of everything and everyone. And you will be giving birth to so many things, not deliberate children, but giving birth to so many different things about you. And I'm going all goosey right now, so I must be, the spirits with me, I tell you. So when I explain, yes, see, you have wide lips. Now, but if you look at mine, I actually have narrow, I have like what they call a narrow lip, narrow mouth, but I have a really wide smile. So my narrow mouth, so my narrowness comes to the inside of my pupil. So what does that mean about me? It means that I like to look after self first. So by looking after self first, I can then go on and I can help other people. But if I choose to do it differently, so you will look after people first and then look after yourself. Me, I'll look after me, and then I'll look after other people. There. Yeah. How interesting is that? Oh, are you still with me? Oh, Michelle, I've lost you.
All
yes,
right.
You are.
We got you back. Cool. So, yeah, tell me more about the lips. So, yeah, tell me more about the lips.
So, I don't know where we got up to, but when we're looking at the lips, like the bottom lip, when you have a full bottom lip, it means that the world sees you as very grounded and stable. So that's quite interesting. And thin lips, and when you see your thin lips, when you have a look at your thin lips, they're actually thinner top lips. Means that you're determined. And what a fantastic quality to have. Yeah, so it's just like every lip style that you have has a challenge, a vulnerability. You've got your strengths and all your weaknesses as well. So when if you're, you know, looking at putting Botox in your skin and that sort of thing, what you've got to really remember is that it's actually an S8 drug, which is the same drug as morphine and heroin, which is why doctors and nurses have to administer this. But it actually stops your central nervous system from communicating to each other. And when you're doing it around here, this is actually heart-based. Right here, what they call as your Cupid's bow, or your Cupid's, I think it's Cupid's bow, it's heart-based. So you're disconnecting from heart and love. An interesting concept.
Yeah, wow. It is. Yeah. When I studied Steiner education, one of the things that I learned was that the lower third of the face is usually connected to your will. So your jaw, your ability to be determined, and those kind of things as well. I'm sure there's a microcosm in there as well with regards to all other places, but like just predominantly at the bottom here. Then the middle part was more your rhythmic system, your heart chakra, your lungs. And that makes sense because often when we have issues with, you know, sinuses and things like that, it's usually related to our rhythmic system and our, you know, it is basically we get very sensitive, hypersensitive there. And then the top part was related to more our will, our thought processes and things like that. So that makes sense too.
Which makes sense because, you know, you got your third eye there and that sort of thing. And yeah, as you say, each section of your face is determined by something. And then, as you say, you have your micro bits in there, whether it's your eyebrows, your eyes, your cheeks, your under eyes, and you know, your nose, like on top of your nose. That's heart based as well. So yeah, it's really interesting. And just talking about your face, just under your eyes is kidney based. So you've got your stomach, lungs and kidney as well. So that's always a determination of how healthy you are as well, and what you're not coping with or what you are coping with.
Yes, and I find that if I'm working too hard and things like that, I will get dark circles under my eyes usually it's usually it's mascara that I haven't taken off that's waterproof, because I tend to have to wear waterproof mascara, because whenever I go out, my eyes are always like, whenever I go out in the wind, they're always water. Or when I'm talking to someone, I'm always getting teary. So if I don't have some waterproof stuff on, I'm forget it. And I just have literally no eyelashes when they're blonde. You know what I mean? Like I'm naturally blonde. So if I don't have something, and I have tried the dyeing, but I often find that irritates my eyes.
It's too irritating. Yeah.
So,
there's some toxic chemicals in it. So you have to
find what works for you. Hey, it's like one of those, sometimes the lesser of two evils, but you have to be authentic and real with what you want for yourself, and transform it from there, I think, too, a lot of the time. So you know what I was reflecting on this morning that I wanted to ask you was, when it comes to reading the face, reading the body, because you've got training in that as well, the thing that really came up for me this morning was thinking about, wow, I wonder where Janine starts. Does she start with being able to read, like physically read what's going on, and then marry that up to your intuition? Or is it the other way around? Are you connecting with your intuition and then looking for cues, or is it a bit of both? I'm curious about that.
It's actually a bit of both, but how all of that started, as I was doing remedial massage, I started feeling and looking and knowing within. So, like your psychic, your clairaudience and all that sort of stuff. So I started looking within, and I would say to clients, your lungs aren't well. Do you work somewhere around dust? And they would say, yes, I work in a quarry, or all those sorts of things. And I started to marry each part of what I was doing. And it wasn't until years later that I actually realized that I was actually highly intuitive around the body and our skin, and combining the two and seeing how they mix with our health and our emotional well-being. So I would do things and I wouldn't know what I was doing. So I started, like if I was doing a facial and those sorts of things, the clients would say, what did you just do? And I said, well, I've just done a facial. And I go, no, you haven't just done a facial. And I said, well, I don't know. I've just done my facial. And that's where it sort of all started. And it was not until many years later, and actually probably, I would have to say probably only the last 2 years, I've sort of defined it more as a shamanic healing along with those types of things, because I'm so practical, grounded, down to earth kind of thing. And I'm not bells and whistles, and I'm not champagne and high heels and, those sorts of things. It comes back down to that earthiness and that sort of thing. But it's definitely a bit of everything. When I was growing up, I had an imaginary friend who was with me till I was 14, I could clearly see this person, I could describe this person, all those sorts of things, and my parents would call this an imaginary friend. I now know that wasn't an imaginary friend, but being somewhat enlightened in a normal family is quite well, it can be a struggle, because you often, if you just know, it's just, I have no explanation other than I know. It's or anything like that. You just have to go with your gut, really. And that's how all of that is. It's the marrying of both. And I actually don't know how either one of them started. It just, I just have to go with it is. So yeah.
It's often the way, though. We often fall into these things. I remember I had postnatal depression. I volunteered. This is after my second child. I volunteered at the local community centre to help them with their bookkeeping, because I joined a postnatal depression support group, which ended up being a stress management support group, which ended up being run by a recovering alcoholic for 20 years who linked me back into my 12 steps that I was, had been connected with for like a decade at that point, and I had kind of, it hadn't been on my radar because I've been pregnant and whatnot. with two young children and all that. And it started off volunteering to do bookkeeping, and then saw what he was doing, went, oh, I could run a course or a workshop on recovering from codependency. I could do that standing on my head, I just felt like, gee whiz, a lot of people could benefit from that. Do you want me to do it? He goes, oh yeah, do that. Never run a workshop in my life, but anyway, but anyway, did that. And then at the end of that workshop, I had people coming up to me going, oh, do you do counselling? I'm like, no. Like, that's how I got into counselling. I just decided, well, maybe I should. It's kind of one of those things, isn't it? Like, we just kind of, like, for anybody listening, because I know that you do a lot of business strategy in that, but for anybody listening, I think sometimes the best strategy is turning up, putting 100% behind what you're doing at that moment in time, trusting that that's a stepping stone or a foundation. And then, the next learning or the next level wouldn't have been attained had you not done that anyway. So you might as well enjoy it, be where you are. Yeah?
Yes. And also know that whatever you're going through right now will be different in a week or a month or something like that. And where you start with, I kind of look at it as like learning how to walk. We walk and we stumble, we get up, we dust our knees off, and then we keep going again. And for me, I wasn't actually aware that I was helping people or coaching people, because my friends would just phone me up and they go, oh, can I come over? Something's happened. They'd come over and I'd start chatting to them. And within 30 minutes, they're feeling differently about themselves. They're going, I never looked at it like that. And I said, well, there you go. And each person has their own stuff, and well done to you too, Michelle, for going, yeah, I can run that workshop and not knowing anything about it. It's just like, and if anyone's like that, and I got really nervous around certain, doing those sorts of things, I actually got really nervous around it. And I'm thinking, God, how can I do that? How can I do that? I've never done that before. And one of the things that popped into my head, it says, but nobody knows what you're going to say or what they're not going to miss out on should you not say something. I thought, oh, that's a great way to look at it. Okay, thanks very much. I'll take that. So awesome. If you forget something, don't worry about it, because your audience didn't know that you were going to say it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I must admit, I think I was excited because at the time, as I said, I had postnatal depression. What had happened for me was, after 7 months of my second child, I was really struggling with, being a mum of another child, who was 2, and also a 7-month-old, feeling like I wasn't on purpose, because I didn't, we're talking about business strategy. If I look at it now from a business strategic point of view, what Spirit would be saying to me is, you were so on purpose because you weren't satisfied with that alone, and it was creating a depression for you. And I remember, and that was okay. That's actually okay, because I was meant to be running courses and I was meant to be doing other things. So if I hadn't have listened to my depression and gone up and admitted it and said, holy crap, because I didn't know I had it. I didn't even know it existed. And I saw a psychologist, and within the first 20 minutes, I answered 20 questions and I got them pretty much, apart from the suicidal thoughts, I got pretty much yes. So I was totally in the depression, postnatal depression. But having said that, the thing that happened for me that shifted so quickly was when I went along to the postnatal depression support group that turned out to be the stress management group. What happened was, because I linked into my purpose so quickly there, the depression lifted like that. And to be honest, I've always felt like that was the last time I was ever depressed, which was, my daughter's 16 now. So, that's a long time but since that time, I've been on purpose, There have been times where I felt a bit stale. I remember towards the end of working in child safety for 5 years, and going, I'm really ready to go. Yes, but never the depression. But I think the depression is awesome in that it actually motivates us to notice the dissatisfaction of the current, where we are currently, and to ask ourselves that question from the higher self, to go, what is it I'm actually meant to be doing? Because this isn't right for me, sitting right for me right now.
Yeah, that exactly. And for me, quite some time ago, I too was depressed, but didn't know it, because I'm happy Janine. I'm Janine who does everything, gets stuff done, and do all that. And I actually didn't realise I was depressed. And it wasn't until my marriage, I ended up being separated, been close on 2 years. Now that was 10 years ago, and we now have a fantastic relationship. But had I not have gone through that depression and all the stuff that come along with it and everything that was thrown at me, I would not have known how capable I was, and my life lessons. I'm actually so grateful for all of that, because it's made me the person I am today. And not only can I also fix and help myself, but I'm able to do that with other people, whether it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, or practically. I've got it covered, and showing people how to do it and being that person who was like that, you help people. But, as you say, if you didn't go through that stuff, they're all blessings. And I appreciate everything that during that period, I learned about myself as not only a woman, but a mother, and what I want a wife, and as a wife, and how I want a relationship to be. And that's always evolving around my next level of self-worth. Just for instance, money, like money can be a really big issue with lots of people and that sort of thing. And I was only trying to have a conversation with my husband about money the other day, and I said to him, I said, we really have to talk about this money, because you don't let me speak about it, because you go off on tangents and everything like that, and he gets very defensive about it. And so he's now working on being less defensive, and checking in with himself about why he feels the way he does about that. However, had I not have said, we need to be able to talk about money like we talk about everything else, he would not have gone, oh yeah, I really do need to check in with myself, and you are right, I do need to listen to that. And so yeah, it's you got to go through it, I think, to feel it, to understand it, and then appreciate it. Yeah. And you're not the victim. You are the survivor, thriver, and educator of who you are.
Exactly. And anybody out there who's actually tuned into this broadcast who actually feels like they're in the middle of it, the thing I would say to you is that sometimes depression, people look at it like it's really selfish, like all you care about is yourself, because you're so the energy of depression is so heavy that it sort of creates this inward feeling, this kind of self-absorption. But I think if you look at the shadow side of that, if you look at what it's trying to tell you, it's actually pointing at, look at me, I need to be heard, there's something we need to listen to. And if you take the enlightened view on the depression, you can say, it's depressing me inwards so that I listen to what I need to do next. Because in my experience, people who have the best success with shifting their depression is that they find their purpose, they find meaning in their lives beyond them, but that without them being a part of it, it's value adding, basically. So my feeling is that, obviously there are hormones, and there are big things at play chemically and things like that. But I do feel that we are quite capable of creating and changing those chemical imbalances. I really do, through our choices, through our behavior, through, if we've got the bipolar stuff going on, through our ability to understand our energy, become energetic masters at what's going on with our energy. Are we using too much of it, even though we've got a heightened energy level? Where are we storing? What are we doing? Are we being good caretakers of our energy? How are we using it? So I feel like it's a big topic, and probably one we hadn't expected, but it's obviously one that needs to be talked about.
Yeah. And with depression, I had a friend of mine, and she's I have quite a few friends that have suffered from depression, and family members are also suffered and or suffering from depression as well. And it can actually, if you're not aware of the depression and how it can affect others in your life, and having that awareness around how it comes out to play, people can be considered selfish and that sort of thing. And I actually don't think there's anything wrong with it. But what you need to be able to do is understand that selfishness as them part of their journey. It's just who they are. For example, I'll give you an example. My dad has recently been diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia and vascular disease dementia. Now, my dad has known for the last 20 years that he should give up smoking, but he doesn't. Smoking is his best friend. Now, he's gone to see the kidney guy and all these sorts of things. And they go, mate, you should really give up smoking. And it's like, yeah, okay. And he tries it for 3 weeks and he does it. And then he just goes back to it. And then my mum, she gets quite angry. Oh, your father's still smoking, all this sort of stuff. And I'm just going, Mum, look, that's Dad's best friend. That's his crux. That's what he chooses to do. And it's his life and his journey. If he wanted to change something, he would have changed it 20 odd years ago. So you have to respect that decision that he's made to continue that smoking and all those sorts of things. And that's the crux of his problems that he has. But in saying that, my dad will jump on a bike and ride 15 kilometres. So he's got this thing. Is it balance? Is it unbalanced? Who knows? I don't know. It's just like, that's my dad, and you have to respect his decision. He's a capable person of just being who he is and not trying to change somebody. Yes, educate, but if they don't want to change, accept who they are.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like free will always dictates, how someone's going to, they know what they know or they don't know what they know, but their free will dictates how they want to live their life. And I think that often the issue isn't the person who is choosing to live the way they want to live. The issue is with the people around them not accepting that's their choice. That's where the problems are. However, being mindful of the impact that our choices have, of course, on other people, but at the same, being mindful of that, I don't know that would stop his Alzheimer's and dementia degeneration though, at this stage. But if he understands the impact that will have and have conversations about that, I think that's really important while he's still lucid, because we all have to make those hard calls and those hard choices when it comes to diseases that are degenerative, that impact the whole family basically, because they take up a lot of space, and it's what can the family hold? Like what can we do? What can't we do? What not can't we do, but what we feel is beyond us and our capability or our energy level.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's just like when I'm educating my family, it's just like educating them that it's his choice, and just to love and laugh who that person is, and regardless of whatever decisions they've made or not made, at the end of the day, they're not hurting you, and it's you've got to come back to that, and if if you don't like it, then, and if they're not going to change and you can't live that way, then leave. Start something new for yourself, and that's the. But if they are willing to change, or you're willing to live the way they choose to live, and it's okay. It's okay. And I kind of bring it back to people are either aware or unaware in their own spiritual evolution. So sometimes, I think in regards to just my father, like you have a look at him, and my Nana had dementia. And I think he saw Nana go through that, 20 odd years ago, and he's decided that's what he was going to eventually die from, and that's his choice. It was either choose from it or choose not from it. But that's his choice. And you have to just understand and respect all that decisions around those sorts of things that you do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess for me, it reminds me of the three gets of Al-Anon. I spent a long time in Al-Anon, hence I could teach a codependency recovery workshop. And after 10 years of going to Al-Anon, because I was in a relationship for 4.5 years with an alcoholic or a problem drinker. I don't think they'd ever admit they were an alcoholic, but you know, I had the issue. I had the issue with their drinking, so I had the issue. So I own that, and I went to Al-Anon, and that taught me a lot about the three gets of Al-Anon, which I love. Get off their back, get out of their way, and get on with your life. And the reason why I love those three gets is because it helps you realise that you're not helping the issue if you're harping on about it to the person. So get off their back. Get out of their way means, you know what, they've got life to live whether you approve of it or not, and it's their journey, like you were saying. Like, it is their journey of enlightenment. You can't measure whether it's good or not enough. That's none of your business. It really is not. It's not none of our business. No matter how much potential we see in a person, it really is none of our business. And get on with your life means that, I think this is what it brings back to me, is it brings back that feeling of unity, because if I'm getting on with my life, I'm lifting everyone, including that person, because obviously I'm not in their back, and that's, hey, they're lifting already. But I'm actually creating positive energy because I'm not focused on the lack. I'm focused on what I need to do and take responsibility for it. So for me, that has been absolute gold in understanding that. It's so easy to get caught up with focusing on the drama, you know, all the lack, rather than getting on with what we do.
That's right. And when I separated from my husband, I too went to Al-Anon because I was the wife of an alcoholic. But I actually, I actually didn't realise that. And I got to the point where I could not live that way anymore. So I chose to leave, because it was just like, I had the problem with you drinking. And these are the reasons why I had the problem. But if you couldn't see that, then it's my problem, and I'll let you go, and I'll love you from a distance. Thank you very much for the life, and I'll start a new one. Now, what happened from that was I actually did start a new life with my husband, because he got that what he was doing in the alcoholism and the drinking and the depression and all those sorts of things, that he wasn't being the person that he wanted to be, and he didn't like who he had become, but couldn't see how to get out of it. And it wasn't until he started saying and having conversations with people that he was not drinking and now doesn't drink, that we actually fell back in love. But hey, that takes trust. Doesn't happen overnight, but the new life that we have would not have been possible had I not said, I'm leaving because I don't like what you're doing at the moment, and everything that was around that. But grateful, absolutely grateful for all of that, and grateful for Al-Anon and what they teach you, and the AA, because I realised that I wasn't alone. And I realised that even though because for me in that situation, it was like I actually didn't realise that I was actually married to an alcoholic, because he was a great dad, great provider, all these sorts of other things, and and it's just like, well clearly it's me, and it was my problem. But luckily, going through all that, we had that way that we just sort of connected and started getting back together and learning a new relationship. And I think that's gold.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring, Janine. I mean, I guess I talk about, I do, when I'm, helping people through issues around relationship, I really like to say, look, if you just take care of your backyard, because of the unity principle, seriously, they're either going to change, or they're going to you're not going to be attracted to them anymore, or they're not going to be attracted to you anymore. So it won't be an issue. And you'll attract the right person who's ready, you're ready for, and they're ready for you. And I feel like because of that unity principle, it does change our whole world and our vibration and our view of a person, and also the other person. Even though we're not trying to control and manipulate them, it's still creating a flow and effect and a reaction and a response which they can embrace or they can look away from. Sounds to me like this really was a catalyst and a big wake-up call for him to do something different about his life choices.
Absolutely. And then, you know, he after that, he discovered that he had a spare 30 odd hours a week. So he started doing lots of training and running, and he still trains and runs today. So, you know, all blessings around that. So, you know, if you're looking at depression and you're looking at all those sorts of things and your relationships around who you are as a person, always look within, and you just take one step at a time. Don't try and have all the answers at once, because you don't, but you have to be happy with you. And learning about you first, I think, is paramount to putting your own self-worth first, discovering who you are, and then being able to see others in a light and giving that ripple effect, you know, and because they see you living the life that you want and seeing you happy with a smile on your face. Come on, it doesn't get any better than that, you know. I think that's
I know. They, you know, it's probably something that they like go, wow, I want what she's got, and then kind of I think so, or they don't like it because it makes them feel like they're not in control, and then they'll go elsewhere, which is great. You know, I say it saves you time, saves you energy, and you get on with doing what you're meant to do here. I'm curious about your little award that you became a finalist for. Can you tell us more about that too?
Yes, I can. I got nominated for the Sunshine Coast Businesswoman's Network Awards, and we got finalist in the product and sustainability. And I am absolutely stoked around that. So that's actually a big kudos for me, and having such a young business for the organic lip balm company, and being seen and recognised as the product as, you know, a sustainable product and everything like that. It was just amazing, and you know, I'm a winner. Whether I'm the winner or a finalist, I'm a winner. And the whole process took about 40 hours. It was a big process, but something that it pulled out of me everything that I want to share with people about, you know, not only life and business, but what I want to put into the business and that. So the process is, if anyone is in business and they're looking at doing awards or anything, just do it. Just do it. It's one of those things that you think, oh, I couldn't be bothered with or whatever, and just do it. I put it. I'm now doing pop-up shops up at the Yamundi markets and talking to international guests, and I use that as part of my sales funnel and stuff, you know. And I've met people from the UK and New Zealand and America and all those sorts of things, and having that finalist thing there, they're going, wow, that's pretty good. And I'm very, very humbled that they chose such a young company to represent not only the Sunshine Coast, but also women internationally, and where I want to take it and what they want to do with it, what I want to do with it as a category, because it's huge. The event is much sought after, and yeah, if you're going to do it, just do it. The process is amazing. It's full on, but it's worth it.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Are you looking at doing anything? What are your little plans for the next few little bit?
Okay, so my plan, I'm halfway through writing my book about lips. That there was a lot of resistance around that when it was like, because, you know, spirit, you know, the guide said, yeah, write a book about lips. I'm going, what? I can't write a book about lips. You've got to be kidding me. And so the book started out really quite practical, and it's more a spiritual based one now. And yes, there'll be practical stuff in there, but it's pretty much teaching people how to care and look and feel about their lips and think about them differently. You know, pretty much how to love them, how to love their lips and see themselves differently. So that hopefully will be, I'll be crowdfunding that and having little peppered inspirational quotes throughout the book. So I'll be doing that probably in the next few weeks, starting that. And hopefully that will actually go into the Emmy bags for next year, for 2017. That will go into the Emmy bags for the A-list celebs there. And at the moment, I'm just, I will be putting together some micro niche businesses for women or anything like that who want to start up a little micro niche, and I'll teach and train them how to use the products and sell them at markets, pop-ups and fundraisers and weddings and that sort of stuff. So that's what's going on for me at the moment. I hope to have 20 or 30 around Australia and hopefully some overseas as well by next year. So fingers crossed.
Well, what's this about the Emmys? You're hoping to put your product in the little gift bags for the people that are attending the Emmys, getting the Oscars?
Yes. So we've got we've got the Academy Awards in January. So they will have my lip balm. Yeah, they will have my lip balm product in there. Then we've got the Emmys, and I'm hoping that they will have, no, there's no hoping, they will have my book that will be printed and ready to go, and my lip balm. So, and then we've also got the Australian Logie Awards as well. So we're doing those three. So
that's exciting.
So that's. I know. I love it. It's really good.
I am a champagne and cocktails person, so that excites me. That ticks my box.
Yeah, I'm a wine and barbecue kind of girl. So yes, it ticks my box. But I love getting dressed up and, you know, doing all those sorts of things. So yeah, it ticks my box as well. So yeah, even though I'm practical, I do have a champagne taste, as my husband says. So yeah, and I quite like having my champagne taste. So
yeah, I'm the same. I love barbecues. I love, like, sometimes, like my day at working from home, I like working in my bikini and my onesie, depending on the weather, my shorts, my bare feet. I'm a very grounded person, but I love glamming it up too. It's really fun, and it's nice to embrace the different parts of our personality and to let them be who they are. I had long hair as a kid, but I was the girl that rode her BMX bike and went mulberry picking with the boys, and, you know, I was more of a tom girl or tomboy, whatever you want to call it, for the most part of my childhood, getting dirty and muddy, and, you know, it was great. And you too?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a BMX girl, kind of riding girl, but I do love a good pair of high heel shoes, and I do love getting dressed up and glammed up, and but love the casual life just as much. But it's good to be able to embrace that. I love fine dining as well, and it's got to be real food. Yeah. If I could eat meat pies, I probably could, but I'm more into like a fine dining experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice food. But BMX bike riding, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind the odd pie myself, but yeah, it's probably, it depends what mood you're in, doesn't it? Like, you know, the hot chip mood or the ragout, or, you know, it's nice to have a variety of different tastes. But I'm looking forward to having our little Q&A, questions and answers, next week. So we'll be just to let our listeners know that it will be next Thursday, and we are going to have let me just double check on the timing of that. It is the 12 to 1 p.m. on the 14th, I think. Just
17th.
17th. Thanks, honey. I had it up and I lost it. Sorry. Thank you for that. So it's Thursday, and that's Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in the US and you want to tune in, please just post your questions if you want to post them to the threads that we put up on Facebook and social media and things like that. It's nice to have questions. If you can't tune in to listen, that's cool. But it's lovely to have the questions there so we can answer them. And you know, if you want to actually call in to ask some questions live, I will be posting an invitation link for callers to be able to call in, so that we can accept some live callers as well. So that'll be fun. And
that will be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things that we've covered so many topics today. You never know what kind of questions we might get, but we don't really mind, because it's all part of the journey enlightenment, and it's, you know, we're open to spirit sending us through whatever messages we're going to get and pass on as well. And but it's also great, like last week when we did our Q&A, we had a caller, and she called in and she was talking about her recent experiences with anxiety and things, because that was the topic last time. And it was just really interesting because she had some amazing things to say about how she had, you know, progressed past hers as well. So we're open to people joining in our enlightened discussions and conversations as well as the questions. So if you feel that you've got a story to share or something that you really feel passionate about, and you want to contribute about anything that we've shared, that's another reason to really contribute and be part of the energy, building the energy of what we're doing here. So how can people find you, Janine, just so that we can make sure that they've got the right contact details?
I'm on Instagram, Janine Hall _. That's my personal page where I do a lot of stuff. Also Facebook, we've got Soul Spa Alchemy, and also organiclipbalm.com.au, and Instagram organiclipbalm.com.au as well. But you can also email me as well, probably info@organiclipbalm.com.au will get me. That's probably the easiest one to remember. So look for me on Facebook. Info@organiclipbalm.com.au.
Beautiful, Janine. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your beautiful enlightenment and wisdom. I certainly have really enjoyed it, and I feel like a deeper connection with you. I feel like I know more about you, which is often the case. You know, when I'm actually planning, I've got a lot of people putting their hands up, and I probably will get some, but number one thing that Spirit's been saying to me is connect and talk to the people that you want to know more about, that you want to feel more connected to. And I've really enjoyed that. I really have, Janine. It's been awesome. It's just a beautiful resonance with you. I feel very blessed and honoured to have shared space with you today. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And what a fun conversation we've had. We've gone full circle. We've done the circle of life, Michelle. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah. And I hope the audience has enjoyed it, and we've been able to help quite a few, and I'm looking forward to the live Q&A as well. So that will be great.
Yeah,
and thank you for having me. So it's been fun.
And just to let people know that, of course, the Q&A is going to be live streamed from my Facebook Michelle Lightworker public page. So just to clarify that, and if you want to, in the future, if you want to have a look at any of the episodes or last week's episode, just go to lightworkerreflections.com/media, and they will be in there. So thanks again, Janine. Lots of love to you. And I'll catch you on the live stream next week.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. See you. Bye, everyone.